I am Timsky the Versifier. I'm going to read some poetry for you. But first, a short introduction. I always thought I was English. Boo hiss, hooray, boo hiss. After all, I come from the most English place in the world. A place so English that not only are you permitted, but you are encouraged to adopt an unjustifiably patronising attitude to race, nation, creed and colour, including members of your own immediate family. Something didn't feel right about this growing up within the family. There was no reciprocation. We were quite happy adopting a condescending attitude to everyone else, but we were not getting anything in return. We were excluded. We were not one of us to them. And it remained a mystery for many, many years. And then when it became the thing to do to take a DNA test, we tried to persuade my father to do that very thing. He said laughingly, knowing my luck, if I were to take a DNA test, I'd fail. Little did we know how true that would turn out to be in time to come. Years passed, I moved around, and eventually, having made a little bit of cash from some illegal trading in Bitcoin currency on the dark net, I thought, sod it, I'll take a DNA test. So I sent off for the package. Back came the swab in the little box, filled it in, sent it off, thought no more about it. 3 weeks later, a little package turns up, some A4 sheets of paper with graphs and tables and numbers and so on. And I took a look through it, and the conclusion was that my DNA was 5% Nordic, 5% European, and 90% alien DNA. So I emailed them back, what do you mean by this? 90% alien DNA. They said, read the contract. We don't guarantee to have the sequences of all DNA. So I sent back to them, are you suggesting, as I think you are, that I am a half-breed human alien miscegenation? The fact they did not reply told me all I needed to know. I am an extraterrestrial. Next came the rather awkward conversation with my parents. Which one of you is or has had a relationship with someone from another planet?
Guilty!
I could tell by the looks of bewilderment, anxiety and pity that I hit the nail on the head. It was confirmed. So as such, and by the way, I prefer extraterrestrial, a suggestion of a little something more than alien. I didn't burst out of anyone's chest. Well, not chest anyway. So I had to come to terms with the fact that I am amongst you. We are here. Well, I am here. Get used to it. But I got to thinking about home. Where is my home? Am I really from Tunbridge Wells? Or am I from an N-class planet in a galaxy far, far away? Or am I some sort of trans-dimensional being who can use any toilet anywhere in the world? The poem I'm about to read is hardly related to what I just told you, but was prompted by my interstellar musings. So this is called Home is Where. Home is where the heart is, the liver and the spleen. Somewhere you're always looking for, somewhere you've never been. A place you've just escaped from, somewhere you hope to find. A refuge or a sanctuary for you and your own kind. Home is where the heart is, the kidneys and the guts. Big as the Winter Palace, small as a shepherd's hut. It's where you're always taken in, whatever it is you've done. The house under surveillance when you're on the run. Home is where the heart is, the bollocks and the brain. Can I say that? I'll have to. Secure accommodation for the criminally insane. A torture chamber from which there's no escape. A crime scene cordoned off with police security tape. A home is not just walls and windows, floors and ceilings. It's wishes and dreams and hopes and feelings. And nightmares and terrors and fears and screaming. Cabin, shack, palace, den of iniquity, brothel behind the lace curtains of respectability. A theatre in at least 3 senses of the word, of operations military and medical, and of the absurd, where the play is real and not a game, and the actors and audience are one and the same. It's a quantum mechanical paradox, big as the universe, small as a box. The kind of mansion, cave, or tenement flat you share with your Pavlov's dog and your Schrodinger's cat. A starship hurtling through time and space whilst appearing to remain in the very same place. It's also a court where the judge is the accused, and Kafka's sitting there completely bemused like a beetle in the bedroom. A spider in the bath, a cockroach in the kitchen, or a cricket on the hearth. Home is where the heart is, the liver and the spleen, where you've just escaped from, somewhere you've never been, a place you're always looking for, somewhere you'll never find, because the location is in your mind, your mind, your mind. So having discovered I was an alien, extraterrestrial, I moved up to Scotland, which is where they tend to reside. And I developed a relationship with local. It was a tempestuous relationship, frustrating, infuriating, but I retained some affection and some admiration for her, and that's what this poem is about. It's called Midge Over Troubled Waters. Culicoides impunctatus. The midge to you and me doesn't really mean to hurt us. It's just the nature of biology. They're not ethical or unethical. That would be absurd. We're just movable feasts to them, like a dairy herd. Much more than pernicious little beasts, malhuricans in the Gallic tongue. I like to think of them as microanatomical hematologists, extracting our plasma to nourish their young. The female is the fearless huntress, fighter and pilot in one. She's the blood winner of the family, the lone provider, requiring what's inside you, inside her. There's no need to misrepresent what's meant as anything approaching malevolent intent. She needs to feed her tiny brood, and what we bleed is the perfect food. Rich in protein with a superior flavour, it's something she has come to savour. And so it's on us she kneels to pray for her midglings to see the light of day. This in no way should discredit her, since we are by far the more dangerous predator. It's not a question of addiction or greed, it's a simple, natural, maternal need. So if the light is low and it's humid too, and you're passing when her time is due and you're breathing out that CO2, she and her pals will come for you like a mad hen party on the broom. No introduction, just some suction. This is not about sex, but reproduction. Now this may cause us to despair, itching and scratching everywhere, waving our arms about in the air, dancing about like marionettes, under attack from masked vampirettes. But think of this as you crush another. That bloody mess was a single mother, simply trying to raise her clan as part of the same ineffable plan devised for everything in creation by God or chance or alien nation. The meaning of the harm they do depends upon your point of view. If you cut her some slack, maybe she won't be back. Instead of trying to eradicate and obliterate, annihilate and exterminate, why not try a different tack and leave a few drops for her on a plate? Who knows, it might work and impress the watching aliens that it's not just a cruel joke. We call ourselves Homo sapiens. Thank you. Midge over troubled water. Now the other insect I've had a close relationship with, I first encountered abroad. I was staying in a rather poor hostel in the middle of nowhere, just a blanket to cover me on a cold night. And I woke up in the morning to find that the blanket had been removed and that I was covered in a living duvet of rustling, crackling cockroaches waving their little antenna about. They disappeared quite quickly, as you can imagine, and I've retained a certain affection for the little creatures ever since, and that's what this is about. It's called Our Mutual Friend. Of all the insects most abhorred, the cockroach tops the leaderboard. Now why is this, we need to ask? Frankly, it's preposterous, considering their noble task is to clean up unsung after us. Though despised by one and all, it's we who drive them up the wall and across the ceiling and down the hall. Our disrespect for this insect exasperates the little creatures. Our reprehensible lack of tact puts a frown upon their tiny features. They might give us a fright when we go for a bite in the middle of the night and we switch on the light to see a horde of carapaces scuttling off to their hiding places. But if we knew what they're about, we wouldn't jump and scream and shout. We'd smile and give a little hand to the valiant Tarakan. It has no nuclear weapons to act as a deterrent. All it has is an armoured shell and legs enough to run like hell. From within its exoskeleton comes the not-so-complex question. Why do you treat us as you do? We only want the same as you. To work in peace for the common good, loads of sex and plenty of food. Get a grip, you tyrannical species, and re-examine your prejudices. After all, when it comes to the test, who is really the bigger pest? Of all the planet's living things, who does the most endangering? It's not the humble arthropod, I'll tell you that for nothing. It's that clumsy, thoughtless, selfish clod, the so-called human being. The diminutive stature of La Cucaracha should not make us obtuse to her host of virtue. So here's a wee friend just for you, whose miniature heart beats strong and true. She won't tell you who she thinks you are or what you ought to do. She'll listen when you want to talk and finish off your veggie stew. She'll be there till the end of days, as long as you respect her. And even after, so they say, when you are just a spectre. For the irony cannot be missed that after the apocalypse, when we've come to naught through our own damn fault, the cockroach, now so vilified, will be the last thing left alive. Thank you. Thank you very much. One last one. I'm going to have to read this out because I made an attempt to memorise the others. Feeble attempt as it was. But, this one I wrote recently. It's based on a revelation. Now I know revelations and epiphanies should be dealt with a certain amount of suspicion, as they're usually the result of indigestion or a brain tumour. But I cycle to work through a road that's between two vast overgrown hedgerows, absolutely full of little birds. And one day I was cycling through, and all of a sudden I understood everything that they were saying. It's like I had a babblefish in my head, or a Google Translate. Well, no, not a Google Translate. A babblefish, let's say. And most of the noise was feed me, feed me, feed me, F off, F off, F off, come here, look out, look out, look out. But there were some snatches that were a little lengthier, and this is my translation of one of them. It's called Linguistic Ornithology. Look at me, I'm wonderful, just look at me. Amn't I so simply gorgeous in this livery? Judging by my plumage, you can plainly see I'm the handsomest tit in the whole damn tree. Trust me, I'll take care of you and our progeny. You will have a fine nest of the finest twigs and leaves. I'll bring home the bacon, metaphorically. Fresh beetles, bugs and worms every day for tea. But don't go counting on my fidelity. 'Cause you know, babe, as a bird, I just gotta be free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That was amazing.